Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is your Business Morning, the Thursday, the 7th of March. Let's get started. What's making the headlines as we speak right now? Stanbic IBTC, one of Nigeria's top lenders, has just reported earnings per share 7 naira 4 kobo for the full year ended December 31st, 2018. Gross earnings hit 222 billion naira, net profit in 74 billion naira. And of course, this bank will be paying a final cash dividend of 1 naira 50 kobo. That's the big story today from Stanbic IBTC. We're in the earnings season on our market street. One big story there. But again, what else is making the headlines? MTN Group, headquartered in South Africa, reporting its latest numbers, saying that it will list its shares first via introduction on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and later on yet to be announced date and initial public offering. This is switching the plans, as it were. All the talks over the last 2 years was that MTN would do what you call an IPO, initial public offering, as it did in a few other jurisdictions like Ghana and elsewhere. But now the news has changed. MTN says it will list Nigerian unit first via introduction on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, then IPO coming later. What's the numbers looking like? Revenue is also good, 17.1% for this leading Pan-African telecommunications giant. In terms of subscribers base, that expanded 11.3% for the year ended 2018. Then, of course, we had its earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's what you call EBITDA. That came in by 30.7%. That's about 18.394 million South African rand. Two big stories there. But what also is big this morning is Nigeria's plan for a new national microfinance bank. We've talked about this over the last months. Now we have the Nursal Microfinance Bank Limited, which will be ready for an unveiling this month. Yesterday, the head of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele, spoke about how the equity holdings of the new micro lender will be, in what ratios. The Bankers Committee, which was the brainchild of this new bank, will hold 50%. NASA, which is an agency of the central bank, is holding 40%, and NIPOST will be holding 10%. That's how the 100% share will go. Initial capital base, about 5 billion naira, according to the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele. So that's unveiling Nigeria's mega microfinance bank, using all the hundreds or thousands of post offices across the country owned by NIPOST Nigeria. Meantime, you already know that Lagos State is in a messy situation right now. 4.5 billion naira first repayment default of March 5th, 2019 on Visionscapes Group's 27 billion naira, 17.5% fixed rate 5-year bond issued in 2017, which was due in 2022. Market Street, of course, says the Lagos State is expected to meet the default payment of that 4.5 billion naira before or after this weekend's crucial governorship election. This is the first time that Lagos State is defaulting on its bond. That's a big story we're going to be talking much more about after the crucial governorship elections on Monday. Let's leave all that and keep that in the kitty for you. Meantime, Agusto & Co., one of the ratings agency, has assigned A- rating to the Ondo State 4.2 billion naira, 15.5 fixed rate bonds, 2018-2022. That was the repackaging of the former 27 billion naira 7-year bond issued by Ondo State in February 2022. That bonds will be maturing in the year 2019. So, Agusto & Co. says 43.7 billion naira has so far been repaid to bondholders as coupon and principal over the period since 2012. 796 million naira has been paid out as related bond expenses, leaving a balance of 5.5 billion naira in the ISPO fund. That's the what you call the standing payment order. That's what your ISPO stands for. Meantime, so what's the next level for the Buhari's administration? The market's been talking about what to expect on the new administration. Chapel Hill Denham, one of Nigeria's investment banks, says it's likely we'll have a new central bank governor. Also, in that very lengthy document, says they expect the cabinet reshuffle under the Buhari's administration, but they say they're interested in who becomes the Minister of Finance for this portfolio: finance, petroleum resources, budget and planning, power works and housing, and transportation. What about the marketplace? Chapel Hill Denham says earnings releases, as we currently have, will be a catalyst for the equities market in the short term. Looking forward, So earnings from FBN Holdings, UBA, GT Bank earnings came out yesterday. Access Bank is to incorporate wedlock with Diamond Bank. Stanbic released these numbers early today. You hear that? 7 naira 4 kobo as earnings per share. Lafarge Africa, a CCN, and that cement company of Northern Nigeria. International Breweries, Nestle numbers is out, as well as Seplat. Meantime, post-earnings season catalyst. After the earnings were done, most likely at the end of the month, maybe late filings by early April. After that, we're looking at, according to Chapel Hill, the actions or inactions and policies of the re-elected Buhari's administration. But the hope is on timely portfolio appointments of the right personnel, quote unquote, which will send signals of not more of the same to investors. What's the conclusion from Chapel Hill, Denham? Quote, we might have to wait till May 29 or is it June 12 to find out who makes President Buhari's new cabinet. But of course, you know, our cabinet here on Business Morning, Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent, he's a member of this cabinet and is live to us from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Temple, good morning. You already in the cabinet. We're not making any change between now and May 29 or thereafter. So keep it there. It's good to have you on the team. Bring us up to speed.
Good morning, Bosin. I need to know what portfolio you're giving me in this cabinet, actually. But well, we were a bit down yesterday. We saw some profits taken on a lot of the couple of counters here in the market. The consumer goods segment was really badly hit yesterday. The industrial names were also badly hit in the market yesterday. So we saw a lot of investors taking profit. We saw a lot of investors also selling down in terms of their holdings in these two key sectors. While they were upbeat on the banking names, as Bosin earlier explained, we saw them taking position across the major counters, major banking names, major financial services names, dividend-paying companies, basically ahead of their numbers that will be trickling in. Yesterday, eventually, we saw Guarantee Trust Bank, which yesterday was up some 93 basis points, releasing its numbers into the market with some 2 naira 45 kobo kind of a dividend. That's some 2% higher than 2 naira 40 kobo that it was released, that it had actually paid in the 2017 calendar year, but this figure is for the 2018 calendar year. So yesterday in the index we're down 0.16%. The equity capitalization shed some 19 billion naira plus, and of course activity level was a little bit down in terms of volume. 208 million units of shares was done, and that's a decline of 48% compared to what we did on Tuesday. Value was just 2.78 billion naira, and that's 20% lesser than the 3 billion plus that we did on Tuesday. Deals was also a bit lower, 3,246, and in total we saw some 8 gainers as against 19 or 20 losers, as reported differently by a lot of houses there. And Chi PLC was the top gainer yesterday, gaining some 7.69%, and MC Nichols in the consumer goods segment of the market, we saw a lot of investors taking profits on that particular company, down some 10% yesterday because of the capital appreciation that was in favor of some investors. Top trade yesterday, we saw Zenith Bank losing some 0.81%, had some 45 million units of its shares traded off at a value of 1.1 billion naira. But if you look at the year-to-date performance of the markets, we're still moderated to some 2.20% in the markets. Sectoral fronts, we got the banking names really positive. Jais Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, Access Bank, all closed positively yesterday. Consumer goods segment of the market lost a lot yesterday. Honeywell was down 3.7%. Cadbury was down. Dangote Flour, PZ, GlaxoSmithKline, they all fell yesterday and contributed massively to the marginal loss of 0.05% for the sector. Industrial goods segment of the market, 5% loss on CCN, and really outweighed the entire segment of the market, which actually dipped some 1.35%. Insurance was down on account of the losses we saw in Sovereign Trust Insurance and, of course, Regal Insurance. Oil and gas, given the losses, some 3.57% that was lost that we saw on Seplat yesterday, in spite of the earnings, which seemingly disappointed a lot of investors. We saw oil and gas dipping some 1.73%, and, of course, in the energy sector, of all the major names names that you have in the energy sector. Seplat was the most active yesterday, down some 3.57% after some 52,902 units of its shares were traded off yesterday. And then we saw the share price that opened at 619 naira, dipping to as low as 596 naira. That's a Seplat. For a lot of other companies there was no movement except for Japol that had some 12.3 million units of its shares traded, and at the end of the day lost some 8.70% and closed at 21 kobo. Over to the NASD OTC, that implies the unlisted securities markets. Marginal loss of 0.06% in terms of the metrics there. The key benchmark index there, that's the USI, which closed at 741.75 with a market capitalization of 532 billion naira. We saw a volume of 2.67 million units yesterday and valued at 10.2 million naira. In terms of the debt market, bonds yesterday saw some low volumes, and of course there's a bit of weak demand across board. We saw yields trending higher by some 4 basis points, and in the Treasury bill segment of the market, we see that the attention was on the mid and the long end of the curve. Sell-offs was seen at the short end of the curve as well. Investors maintained interest on the long-dated bills, and of course that was on a softer note. But we saw no OMO auction yesterday, and we understand that there will be a renewed OMO auction today as a result of some 130 billion naira worth of maturity that we will see today, Thursday, the 7th of March 2019. Bosun.
Yeah, thank you, Tempo. After the break, of course, we have a broader conversation on the earnings that are hitting the trading engine as we speak. Thank you so much. Let's get back to that. Tempo, later on the program.